Ladies and gentlemen, don't ever talk. I don't want to hear the tail end of what you're mumbling. We have Freddie Prinze Jr.
It just got a lot better looking.
It just got a lot better looking, and it got a lot more Hollywood in here because this is a man who grew up in this town. And I want to say something. I said to him, "What are you doing now?" And Freddie looked at me, and he's a young, muscular man, and he looked at me with his chocolatey voice, and he said, "Bro, I'm retired, basically. Bro, I'm basically retired.
I'm Chris Klein all of a sudden.
I go, what do you do? He goes, bro, I roll and I surf and I hang with my kids. I was like, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, he won the game.
You're married to Sarah Michelle Gellar. All right, well, congratulations on winning.
Yeah, all those
winning
parts
in
worked
life.
out.
I felt like kicking him out of the fucking studio already.
No, I was
for a couple minutes, man.
Yeah, right.
I can't. You can beat me up.
I talked to him
a
about
big round,
replacing
baby.
you. I said you're gonna replace.
Not
the
a bad
game.
replacement.
That's something we should discuss.
That's why he's here.
This is the intervention.
He's better looking.
Damn it.
It's podcast intervention, bro.
There it is.
What's up, man? Thanks for coming.
No, man, it's been a long time coming. I appreciate you guys having me.
I wanted you on the show for a while.
Well, how do you guys know each other?
We met through jiu-jitsu, the glory of jiu-jitsu.
Rolling
He's at the
around,
Gracie Academy.
rolling around on a mat.
Yeah.
Did you teach him a couple things, Brendan?
Not rolling with a science project. Are you kidding me?
I
He's
know.
a monster. You told me the story about how he just shrugged a world-class fighter off of his back.
Yeah.
You do privates with Hiron mainly, right? In Beverly Hills?
Hiron, Alex Stewart in Torrance, Mike Everett, who recently got his black belt. And Henner's more like the drug dealer. He's like, yeah, the first one's free, bro. Come on. And then you get addicted, and then he's gone. Right? And then you're chasing the dragon.
Because he's that good, right?
Yeah, right,
he's that
exactly.
good. You're
So
like,
you
damn.
get completely hooked. And then rolling with Hiron is a completely different experience.
Oof.
That's like, it's like rolling with Yoda. Like rolling with, like, one is like on ice and the other is like the Roy Jones Jr. of jiu-jitsu.
It's so weird
and
when somebody's that good.
It's like night and day, like things that you think work, right? Because Henner like empowers the ego. All of a sudden, Henner's going to be like, or Hiron will be like, I'm going to disempower you now and make you look for another option.
He gives you an ego check.
Hiron has done that to me. Hiron's honey dicked me, like where he'll be like, "Come on down, we'll roll around, bro."
Oh yeah,
Keep it playful.
Keep it playful. And I'm like, all right, we're friends. You and I are friends.
Yeah.
And by the way, maybe in like a year I'll be a purple belt. I don't know. I'll just be under your wing. And it'll be fun.
Well, I'll train in your cabin in the mountain. It'll just be one student. No,
dude, he's got that thing where it drags you in, and you know you'd get there, and all of a sudden he would just disappear like a father that never shows up again. You're
Some
like,
random
Dad?
guy.
Yeah.
Dad.
Why am I rolling with
see
this
him
guy who
once every
smells
8
like
months.
sausage? Yeah.
So how'd you get into jiu-jitsu?
My godfather's Bob Wall, and if you don't know him, Google him. But he's the guy who trained with Bruce Lee when Bruce came to America, and Chuck Norris and Gene LaBelle and Pat Johnson and Dennis Alexio and Pete Sugarfoot Cunningham from the old ISKA days.
I know.
And so do you seriously remember Sweet?
Sugarfoot, I believe, is still teaching.
Does he really?
Yes. And
that fool
the
taught
reason
me
I
a
say
jab that Johnny Tapia was impressed by. Like
Wow.
Like Pete was one of the few guys in kickboxing, besides like Rick Rufus, who had sweet boxing skills too. But Pete's boxing skills in the '90s were like top shelf for kickboxing. Nobody and he was famous for his feet, but it was his boxing that won all those fights.
Well, what's funny is that this is going to sound, I don't know, I can't believe this is, he was teaching a 9-year-old girl. He was holding mitts for a 9-year-old, and I'm telling you, she was bap hitting, and he was having her move side to side, and she was 9.
Angles.
Yes, and that was what he was working on with her.
No,
So I thought to myself, this
so
guy
you
knows
learned
what's
from
up.
those guys. So it was early for you in LA.
I didn't have a father, so any chance that my mom had, she wanted me to be with strong, willful men.
Guys.
My dad, we briefly talked about this before, he was around in the 70s and he was really good friends with Ali. And Ali used to spar with his buddies and he would just whip my dad's ass.
Really?
I mean, wouldn't pull his punches. He would knock him out all the time. Like my dad would come home like punchy and stupid and he would just like wail on him. So my dad hooked up with Bob, who was teaching Steve McQueen, and he and Chuck were rolling back then, and Gene LaBelle. And so my dad starts learning, and Bob obviously beats the crap out of my dad too, and just to teach him who's tough. And he was charging mad dough back then because it was all like actors. And he was like, how much can
everyone has
$400 an hour? That sounds fair, Steve. So he teaches
Every actor wants to be a tough guy.
And they'll pay, right? So he drives over to Ali's one day and they're sparring, and my dad pops Ali with a jab and gives Ali a bloody nose. What? And my dad runs into his bathroom, he grabs a towel, he wipes the blood off Ali's face, and he just fucking bails. He takes
I'll see you later.
He had a 75 Stingray, metallic blue. He hauled ass out of there and he framed it. And it says June, what's the date? I think it's June 10th, 1975, Ali's blood, and it's literally like framed on velvet, like a war veteran would hang their medals.
That's
awesome.
Awesome.
My mom still has, and she said Ali used to call the house and be like, "Where's that boy at? Tell that boy to get over here. I'm gonna whip his ass. I'm gonna whip his dog's ass. I'm gonna whip like he would just to like mess with him. He wasn't being a jerk. He was being Ali. But yeah, so that was sort of Bob was my introduction to it. So everything I did, he literally would be like, "Team sports are for pussies. Individual sports make you." And he was wrong, by the way. Team sports are good too. You should learn how to rely on other people.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all good. But this is what he knew. So I didn't learn how to throw a football. I just learned how to yoke quarterbacks out.
Oh, wow.
And you wrestled? You were state champ?
I wrestled.
I didn't know this.
I loved wrestling. I thought I was hot shit. And then when I was 12 years old, he introduced me to Jean-Jacques Machado in Tarzana on Ventura. And he had the Wall Street Village building down there. And I go in there, and this guy's got one hand. And I'm like, I'm going to kill this guy. Like, what are you talking about? He was older than me, but I had gone with older guys than me before. I boxed too at the Chavez gym with Johnny Tapia and them. I fought a 17-year-old when I was 12. You know what I mean? So I wasn't scared of fighting somebody older than me. And I thought I was really good. Apparently I sucked. And in 3 seconds.
You were 12.
Well, yeah, but I was a lean, tough 12. Tough 12. Puberty had just hit.
Sure.
The voice dropped. It wasn't cracking
He
anymore.
weighed like 115.
Soaking wet.
135.
Okay, 135.
Thanks for
And Jean-Jacques is terrified of a 135.
Yeah, he was.
You know those jiu-jitsu guys.
Dude, in 3 seconds, I'm on his shoulders in a fireman's carry, and he's literally saying, "Which window? Which window?" And I was like, "What just happened?" I grew up mainly in New Mexico. There were no jiu-jitsu schools in New Mexico. So I had that experience during the summer and had to go home. But I had these like 3 techniques, right? I had the trap and roll, I had the Americana, and I had a takedown. And
it's a good combo. 3 meat and potatoes.
I'm telling you, like nowadays people know how to defend basic techniques if they watch UFC. Like you may not do it correctly, but if the guy's not doing it correctly, you can kind of work your way out of the technique.
Posture.
Back in 1988, nobody knew any of this stuff.
Yeah.
So I was getting kicked out of school, well not kicked out, but sent home from school all the time. I went to a place called Sandia Prep. And this fool, Ray Garcia, said that he said pro wrestling was fake and Ric Flair wasn't shit. And so I did the...
And that pissed you off.
Oh, yeah.
How dare you say it about Ric Flair?
No one talked bad about
basically
Flair.
Saying something that was true, but you're like, as a kid, you're like, bro.
Yeah, that's like saying, the sky is green and my daddy says it's blue. So I literally did the double leg that Jean-Jacques stopped me, put him in a figure 4 and snapped his ankle. I got suspended from school.
Hell yeah,
I didn't know the figure 4 was real. I didn't know it actually worked.
That's assault, brother.
Jesus.
These days, you'd be suspended for a year.
Yeah, in the 80s, it was like, put some ice on it. Make sure you apologize. Like, there was no social media outrage.
Today, you would have been suspended and been on CNN.
Yeah, as a 12-year-old, actually. They would have made that big a deal instead of just 2 kids fighting over whether wrestling's fake or not. Yeah, now it would be a huge
So then, obviously, it was easy for you to get into the show business. So that was the goal all along?
No, my family took my father's passing really, really hard. As a lot of people. He was 22 years old.
Was he that young?
Yeah, man. He was 22.
He was 22?
22. He lied to my mom to get married.
Oh, my God. I thought he was 30.
Well, he had the stash and the bad sideburns.
Damn, people were so young back there, right? It seems so weird.
Bro, he hosted the Johnny Carson's Tonight Show when he was 19 years old.
Oh,
He's still the youngest person in the history of that show.
Think about that.
That's
ever be on there.
I'm actually shocked that Freddie Prinze was that young.
He was, dude.
I had no idea.
He was 19. His lead guest was Paul Williams, the guy who did all the music for the Muppet movies, who I still call Uncle Paul to this day.
Dang.
He was the first guy to ever pick me up at the airport when my mom sent me out here in this black Testarossa. And we drove down Sunset, and I could smell these eucalyptus trees. I'm like, what's that smell? He goes, those are eucalyptus trees. And he said, they're from Australia. I said, how'd they get here? He said, a lot of rich people wanted them. I was like, this is Los Angeles.
Yeah, welcome.
So that was kind of like, anyway, to answer your question, they felt, when he passed and with all the talk of suicide and drugs or whether it was an accidental gunshot, which the courts legally said it was, or whether you want to believe it was suicide and that was the family trying to have some way to justify that. Whatever it was, it screwed everybody up. And so I had a lot of pressure on me. When you're a junior, you're really just a statue built to honor that which walked before you, right?
Yeah.
So everybody sorts of puts these arrows right on you and sort of says, now you got to go and sort of clean this mess up. And so I did that. And
kind of pick up where your father left off.
And make sure that, when that name was said, it was associated with positive talk after, not just like negative stuff. Like, people say there were protests outside NBC by Mexicans because he was Puerto Rican. It's like there were 12 people out there, man.
Yeah.
Like, Edward James almost said, like, thanks, your father got me into acting. Like, he's a pretty legit Mexican. I'm cool with that. You know what I mean? So they wanted more positive stuff. So I worked really, really hard, got myself into a position where I could create my own show. I put my dad's logo on it. It was all about him. The whole thing was about him. And once I did that, I didn't have a lot of passion left. I didn't have a lot of energy for this business. So my foot was kind of halfway out the door when they canceled our show. And
how old are you at that time?
29. It was a decade ago. I did a couple other jobs because they pay you so sick.
You did a ton of movies too, though,
yeah,
right?
I did. Yeah. But again, that was all to sort of build up to something else. Like I never liked doing the movies because I'm a homebody. I don't need to see the world and work. I want to see the world and see it. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to have to work 12 hours a day and then just go to a club at night. I want to see Europe. I want to see Australia.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean? It's
did
just
you
more
watch?
fun that way.
Did you watch? Have you pretty much seen everything your dad ever did?
Every single thing.
Yeah.
Every album. It's a lot of stuff's not on TV. I even have his old Playboy recordings when he would do the Playboy radio station. He would cuss, and he never cursed, but on the Playboy one, it was. What did you? Even though he hated Richard.
Well, this is going to sound morbid, but I've always thought, and I have done this, I've made videos for my kids in case I die.
Yeah, I saw
want
my
my
life.
son.
I love Michael Keaton.
I want my yeah.
Man. Here's how you make spaghetti when you're in college.
Great
Snap,
movie.
boom. Yeah.
God damn, that's a great movie.
I've never seen that movie.
It'll make
You'll
you cry.
Really?
It'll wreck you. It's a great movie. Don't ever watch
You'll
it.
cry so fucking hard in that movie.
I bet.
Oh my
But
god.
I make these videos for my son especially, less my daughter, because I want my son to know the shit that I didn't know.
Yeah.
Just
There's
little
nothing more.
things.
By the way, you're a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about stand-up comedians and comedy in general, I don't think there's a morbid topic because I think comedians deal with that in a very, you can't be very unique. You can only be unique, in a unique way that
100%.
nobody else can really jump on. So it's not morbid, like, because you're turning death into jokes most of the time. It's just a way of dealing with things. It's not, look, there's some comedians today that have succeeded without doing that, but I don't like them and I don't think they're funny. And I think the ones who give you honesty and real stuff are usually the best one. Like my favorite comic ever is Richard Pryor, even though he hated my dad. My dad was having an affair on my mom with Pam Grier, and Richard loved Pam. And I did this pilot.
It's always a woman.
And, and I want to say this. I want to say this since we're recording this, that I forgive your father because your mother, I'm sure, was a wonderful woman, and God bless her.
Yes.
And I'm sure it was very hurtful. It's Pam Grier, and I just want to say, say that if anybody has a judgment on that, please get away from me.
And lose my number. Lose my number
because it's well again. Hold on. It's Pam Grier. Now, if you don't know who Pam Grier is, please look her
Google
up.
it.
Yeah, before you look up Bob Wall, look up Pam Grier.
And don't step to Pam Grier back then unless you've taken your vitamins. And if you feel a little light in the ass, please make room for a man like myself. Because I love my wife and she listens to this podcast, but I want to say something. If a young Pam Grier came up and
she's
she
screwed.
said, "Hey, Brian, I want you to bang me," I would. Now listen.
Brian's investing in DeLorean stock that goes 88 miles an hour as we speak.
And if my wife came in and said, "Brian, what the fuck? Don't do that," I'd go, "Okay." And then I do it again. See? So I just want to say that, and I think my wife will understand. It's Pam Grier. Now keep going.
Okay. I'm going to try.
Right.
So to speak more on the legend of Pam Grier, I'll bring up one less legendary figure named Joanna Kearns from Growing Pains. Okay. I did a pilot with her, and I always know when an old school actress has slept with my father because they always give me the exact same look on their face. The ones that haven't go like this. And the ones that have go, hi. And I always,
by the way, you're a looker, so they must be
I
like,
know which ones. Like Rachel Ward, she slept with my dad.
Really?
Oh yeah,
Hold on.
100%. Yeah.
Bro, you're too young.
Yeah.
Sharky's Machine?
Yeah, bro.
What?
Yeah.
Again, look up Rachel Ward.
Just rewind it.
That-
Instead of Pam Grier throwing Rachel Ward.
She was she's my ache.
Yeah.
She's my ache.
What was that movie she did with Jeff Bridges, Against
Against All Odds?
I mean,
Oh my!
that movie's not good. You should watch it.
Listen, there's no one hotter than Rachel Ward.
Yeah, man.
Please understand that.
I agree.
Your dad's been.
You need to bow down to his dad.
Bro, he put up some numbers at 22.
Numbers.
I'm building a shrine. I'm building a shrine. But what a beautiful man. How
You
tall is-
mentioned your dad also lived in, I don't want to switch, we'll get to it, but your dad also lived in the Playboy Mansion.
That's James. That was Scott Kahn's
Oh,
dad.
that's right.
That was
right.
James Kahn.
That's
That
right.
dude is Hall of Fame. My dad could have been a Hall of Famer, but his career was cut short.
Cut short at
James
22.
Kahn is Hall
Another
of Fame
level.
status, bro.
Yeah,
That's
still is, right?
could be.
We're not going to talk about that.
that never goes away.
James Caan's got about 27 children. Now, but Freddie, go back to
back to your
yeah.
dad, man.
So-
before we went on these tears
a
about
lot of
girls.
when a woman has been.
Yeah, so I'm in the trailer, and I know that she slept with him, and she knows that I know she slept with him because I've given her the look, which is that. Yeah, he was married. Thanks, jerk.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she tells me this story of him going on a double date with her and Pam Grier at the same time. And they go out to dinner. There's
This guy's all time, man.
Oh, dude, he was
All time.
He was 6'2" and a half.
He's a black belt in
He was
chicken
good
heads.
looking. He was funny.
6'2.5's no joke.
According to Bryan, he was a very fine dramatic actor.
Yeah.
Yes.
I disagree with that.
Great timing.
He
Great
did
timing.
have great timing and a sick Ali impression. So he gets a phone call at the restaurant. I don't remember the name of it. Old school LA spot. And it's Richard Pryor. And Richard invites him over. Not to be nice. He had this recording that my dad did that my dad didn't like. He didn't think it was his best work. And Richard was in love with Pam Grier. Like, he just was after her all the time. And Pam was always giving him the Heisman. Just nope, because he wasn't the best looking man.
No, yeah.
And Pam
Funny,
Grier was
not
top
great
shelf.
looking.
The funniest,
Yeah.
the best. Better than Lenny Bruce,
Doesn't
better than,
matter.
I mean,
Doesn't
to
matter.
me, he's the best.
Yeah.
But
Freddie steals. Your dad steals. Your dad steals his girl every time.
so my dad shows up with two ladies at Richard's house, and I've never told this story before. And Richard puts the tape on, or the whatever it was on back then, 8-track, I don't know. And my dad gets hot, like he gets pissed
'Cause he
off
hates
real
it.
yeah, and he doesn't think it was like an old Playboy recording, and probably the only thing I haven't heard my dad do, because I'm sure he wouldn't keep anything he thought he still had.
And this is him doing stand-up?
Him doing stand-up, just audio of it, right?
Yeah.
And so my dad gets up, and Richard's like, "Oh no, come on, man, come on, it's all jokes." And my dad lays him out, decks him,
Dang.
grabs Pam Grier, and splits and left Joanna. And she's the one telling me the story. She goes, "Yeah," and so he left. And
See ya.
I went to the kitchen and I got Richard some ice and I asked him to call me a taxi and he wouldn't. He ran off to his room. So I had to call one and then I went home. And that was the only time I ever got to meet your father.
By the way,
Your dad is a badass.
by the
He
way,
was the man,
punch,
right?
This guy's
punch
awesome.
Richard Pryor. You playing old jokes? Bang.
No. Backtrack. He shows up to Richard Pryor's house with 2 girls.
Unbelievable. And leaves one behind. Hey, I'll punch you in the
And they
face.
were
Here's
both
your
smoking.
gift.
And she was a hot dancer then too. She had the legs. She had everything going on.
Whiz, man. And by the way, but just real quick, we're talking the 70s, which was pre-AIDS, post-pill, which means you could just fuck and syphilis, just take a shot.
Don't
in
be
your
a
ass.
baby. Don't be a baby.
Don't be a
We got
baby.
medicine for
Yeah, we'll
everything.
figure
you
it
need.
out. We'll figure it out.
Everybody's on the pill.
Oh,
Let's bang.
A lot of good
you're
decisions
talking about
like
the
that
good
were made in
days.
the 70s.
Yes.
I think
The
I was
good
born
days.
that way.
A lot of fucking.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone's
fucking-
so worried now.
I'm sure I have some half brothers and half sisters somewhere that my family doesn't
I
claim.
hope so.
I know Scott Kahn does. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro.
Scott, who
Sorry,
your,
bro.
your buddies with Scott, who I
We're close. Yeah.
yeah.
Not best friends, but we're close.
Yeah.
We did a job together, and I've always respected his philosophy on jiu-jitsu. And Hiron, you were saying, always tries to do these like fake fun visits before you get annihilated, and he's trying to work Scott, me, and Jerry Ferrara to come and have a role. He's like, "Yeah, bro, just come
Jerry's
and
a
have a
good guy.
role." Jerry's a great. He's
Great
literally might be the nicest human
Such
being
a good guy.
in this business, next to like Henry Winkler.
Yeah. Henry Winkler's a good guy.
You know what I'm saying? I wish he would have been
Fonz.
my daddy. He's like the nice. I did a movie with him, and like every time we'd finish the scene, I'm like, I wish you would have been my old man. And he's like, "No, you'd be a lot shorter, Freddie." I'm like, I could be 5 feet. You are the sweetest
matter,
Just
yeah.
a wonderful
human
man.
being
Yeah.
on earth. And like anytime he sees you, he makes you feel like you got to get a picture of you standing next to Henry friggin' Winkler.
Yeah.
Because it would be hysterical.
The Fonz.
He weighs like
The
$140
Fonz,
and
yeah.
he's like 5'3", and
Yeah.
he would hug you and want to pick you up. Like,
He's in a
he's a-
bunch of stuff.
He's a wonderful man.
dude, he is
Yeah.
the sweetest guy in the world. He's also responsible for a lot of our work in the 80s going to Canada and putting a lot of people out of jobs, but we leave that.
Why is that?
He was one of the producers on the original like shows that went up there, like MacGyver or maybe it was Quantum Leap, whichever the first
I
one to go to
blame LA
Vancouver
for that,
was.
not Henry Winkler.
For,
Hey,
for tax
I-
reasons or why?
Yeah, because they were starting to get.
Because
I
Los
agree
Angeles,
with you,
yeah,
but a lot of
California makes it
people put that on
impossible.
Henry.
Yeah. But California makes it impossible to do business here.
Well,
They
because
do.
a lot
They
of
do.
people go elsewhere, right? Like a
Well, they
lot of
get
movies
tax
film.
breaks, or they don't have to deal with unions.
This is
Yeah.
the most
things like that.
expensive
Unions, yeah.
state. Who I think the third most expensive, or the most expensive at this point, state to do business. It's
We have a
terrible.
little bit of a rebate now that they give, but it's almost like a lottery, and they don't give very many of them out. So a lot of people are always going to travel.
So when you're in the business, the show business, for you is more about making a name for your father, and so it wasn't your passion. So did you have a plan to exit out?
I
Because
mean,
you obviously won, like we talked about. You don't have to do anything now. You're set. You're good.
No, Scooby was good to us.
Yeah.
You know, I did an interview with Howard Stern when I was like 20 years old, and he said, you know, oh, you're gonna be doing this for. I was like, nah, you know, I'd really like to own a restaurant or maybe like my mom was a chef and was the bomb, and she was a huge influence in my life. And just last year, my wife's been grinding me to get into this and write a cookbook, so I started writing like my first cookbook ever, and finally sat down and started doing that. And so if I could turn that in, I really like being retired. I really don't like working at all, like most people, but that wouldn't feel like work. And I could do that from home, hang with my kids. We all cook together anyways.
Is it called Cooking with the Prince?
No, it is now.
Say, man, I like that. Let me get into a personal question. I was just thinking about this as you were talking. Do you remember the day that you turned the age that your father passed?
Yeah, it was the day before She's All That premiered, and I didn't want to go. Like you were talking about morbid stuff earlier, and like doing videos and stuff. The premiere that they had us go to was on January 28th, and I was 22 years old. And my dad shot himself on January 28th when he was 22 years old. And I literally called Harvey Weinstein and was like, I don't know how I'm gonna go to this. I don't know how. Oh, you guys cursed already? I already cursed.
We cussed nonstop.
I was like, I don't think I can go to this fucking premiere. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? It was like mad red.
Harvey Weinstein.
And then I told him what was going on, and he took this very like calculated beat, and he goes, let me call you back. And him and Bob called me back, his brother Bob Weinstein, and Bob did most of the talking. He was like, look, Freddie, you gotta be a team player here. We're all gonna be there, and gave me this speech. And it didn't work, but my girlfriend Kimberly at the time, who you worked with, you know, she was like, come on, we'll be cool. Let's just go. So I went. I didn't even watch the movie. We went. I did the press line. I don't remember one question or saying one thing. I don't even remember being there. And then we split. And we were gone.
Weird how that works, isn't it?
Man, like, what kind of timing is that? Why couldn't I have been 23? Why couldn't it be
were
January
you-
15th?
What
You
were
know
you
I mean?
thinking about? What was going on in your head?
Like, okay, so the creative artist goes to like the worst case fantasy, right? So
sure.
my vision is there's someone like in the press line with a gun that's gonna kill me. Like that literally is like, and there's like a 0% chance of that happening, right?
But it is like
I didn't have crazy
Bruce
fans
Lee,
back then.
Brandon Lee shit. Yeah.
You start thinking this stuff. If you're right-brained at all, and I happen to be left-handed, so you know what I mean. Like I have no choice but to exist here, and so it creates things that aren't real, man. And that's what a lot of actors, a lot of comedians, a lot of musicians, a lot of sculptors, and I mean, people cut off their ears because they hurt. You know what I mean? Like I had spine surgery. I woke up in the middle of the night, convinced they did it wrong. I went down to the kitchen. Sarah came down. She said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I have to cut it out. I think they messed it up."
God, I know.
She's like, "Why don't you just take the pills that they gave you so you stop freaking out?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay." Like your brain just plays friggin' tricks on you, man. It does.
Welcome to my world, ladies and gentlemen. I always think of the craziest shit in the world.
I'm telling you, man. And your brain makes it real. Like it could be, you know, the stupidest thing, a unicorn's gonna kill me. Like
well, that's what makes you so good at your job, right? Being an actor, or more creative.
Yeah, but at the same time,
there's pros and cons.
You have
to having
like
that
early
brain.
in my career, I wasn't in touch with that fear. Like I wasn't able to go anywhere near it. So like my early work sucked. You know what I mean? It was very what I could fabricate. It didn't come from anything real. It wasn't until like 6 or 7 years that I even had the courage. And that's what it's about: is having the courage to show something real and not have everyone laugh at you.
Yeah.
Or if you're a comedian, show something real and they better fucking laugh at you.
You were actually, you were always really good at being. It was really interesting. Your career, and I've always kind of watched it from not that far away because we kind of been in the little similar kind of stuff, and you've always been able to kind of keep any kind of paparazzi or negativity attached to you away. You never made a jackass out of yourself.
It's an active plan.
You were just you were always considered
Calculated.
a dude.
That's
by
the Bob Wall way of life, man. I was raised hyper disciplined. You know, he rejected a lot of Western philosophies, so I have a lot of Eastern philosophies that help build me. I don't focus on the external. I really focus on self. That sounds corny, but when you've heard it since you're 5 years old, that's philosophy. That's life. That's
Do you meditate?
Bible. That's I have. I haven't since I had kids. Everything's sort of balanced. You know what I mean? Psycho as it is.
Dude, kids are like the kids are the great equalizer. I was with when we were younger. I was doing that show Oz, and we were all on the set, and we're all talking. All these young actors talking about Buddhism and shit. And this guy Eamon, who had 4 kids, he was older than all of us. He was like 35, and he goes, "Wow, you guys talking about Buddhism and losing the self, huh?" We're like, "Yeah, man, meditation." He goes, "Yeah, why don't you guys have a couple kids?
Yeah, then come
you'll
talk
forget
to
about
me."
yourself real
That's
fast.
right.
You fucking young
That's
idiots."
right, man.
He walked away. I was like, shit.
I'm
He's
telling
I
you,
don't have any
it's all
yet.
about selflessness, man.
Yeah.
And if you can embrace that,
I
life
have
gets real
not.
simple.
I have
real
not, but keep
quick.
going.
Yeah, neither one of us have.
I'm
Very
a
selfish.
Selfish bastard.
Too
At
selfish.
least you guys are doing something you love, though. You know what
That's
I mean?
true.
It ain't work as long as you love it.
So then fast forward to where and when did you meet your wife?
We met on I Know What You Did Last Summer. We were
Great
both-
movie, by the way.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
I remember that movie.
I love those movies.
I was 21. She was 20. And
Hot, young, and tight.
Hot, young, and tight. We didn't do anything.
Take it easy.
We were just.
Were
we
you in a
didn't-
relationship at the time?
I was.
And she was, I assume.
And I think she was, but I was, so it didn't matter. But in this case, it didn't.
Yeah, okay.
But when we first met, like we were friends, but we had zero in common. Like she was the Manhattan, New York girl who had spent her since age 4 doing Burger King commercials with Seth Green to Buffy, which was about to come out, and she had done soaps in between and a couple movies and TV shows. So she was very savvy and hip and a bit cynical of the business already. And here I was like, baby Bruce Lee, like I was very much like always outside of the trailer looking at the sun. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm
Not
from
a
New
New York
Mexico,
City
man. I'm like a
boy,
little
yeah.
desert flower
Yeah.
who grew up so sweet.
Yeah.
Desert
that's
flower.
for Dusty Rhodes, by the way.
Desert
Yeah.
flower. Go fuck yourself. Keep going.
It's for Dusty Rhodes. That's not my line. But yeah, so we had literally nothing in common, and I would drive her. We were shooting in this little town called Southport, North Carolina, where they still rocked the Confederate flag and wrote "spick" on my door, but misspelled it. It was awesome.
SPICC. Fucking showed that
just
guy.
one. They or just the K actually. They didn't do the C.
Oh, God.
SPIK. Yeah, and through.
So
a
you
brick
know
through
they
the
were
window.
educated guys who did that.
They usually are. I
Yeah.
find most racists
Very
are
educated
usually
racists.
educated
Most
and,
racists.
and not
But I'm
afraid
not
of black guys' penises at all. No, they're not. They're not. They're not intimidated
Nothing.
at
That's
all.
nothing
by
to do
it.
with that.
It's usually from a very real, honest,
right.
truthful
It's
place.
educated
Most
opinion.
racists are
Most.
good people.
Yeah,
Some are
most of them.
assholes.
Some take it a little too far. So they sucked. And so we would drive to Wilmington where people were a bit more liberal. And it was more of a college town. And I would take her to the gym. And we just had these tons of conversations the way two young actors do. And there was zero sexual tension.
No chemistry at all.
It was zero chemistry. It just wasn't on the table. So we became friends for a good 3-4 years where I would go to her house. I knew her mom. I knew her friends. She knew my cousins. I kept my family real close to me when I moved out here. And all of a sudden we were going out to dinner with a friend of ours who no-showed us. And halfway through the dinner, I was like, yo, she's hot. And I just all of a sudden was like, this is not a friend thing anymore. And instead of
that's
going
rare.
home, we took a walk down by the beach, and I was like, oh yeah, she's not gonna take a walk unless she's trying to smooch. And then we smooched, and it was game on.
What?
move, man.
Whoa.
Yeah.
4 years.
4 years.
She could. You know what it was? She was looking across, and she was like, "He's a lot taller than I thought. He moves like a jungle cat.
He's like a sweet desert flower.
He's
That's
like
a desert
sweet
flower.
desert
And
A rare
love
desert
it.
flower.
I'm like a yucca plant that
Yeah.
grows in the desert.
Just all that moisture underneath that skin."
Well, it's rare in
He's like
LA,
aloe
right?
vera.
It's aloe vera.
I love those stories, man. That's a rare thing when you're in the friend zone for a long time. And all
4-year friend zone?
Dude.
Straight up. But
Dude.
she probably fell in my friend zone. I didn't fall in her friend zone. She was in my friend zone. Don't get it twisted.
Get it twisted. Hey, guys.
She had been
real
in love
quick.
with me for
She'd
years
been attracted
and
to the
years
kid
and
for a
years.
For a long
Oh,
time.
yeah.
And then how
Oh,
long
yeah.
did you guys date before you got married?
We were together probably almost 3 years, and then I proposed. Then about a year after that, we got married. We've been together a long time. Man.
Long time.
Long time.
Yeah.
Good for you.
2 little babies. My daughter choked me out yesterday. And then while I was doing crazy legs with another kid, she yelled "sneak attack" and hit me with a foam baseball bat from behind. I said, "What'd you do that for?" She goes, "Well, you're beating up my friends." I'm like, "You told me to come here and show them
It's
jiu-jitsu."
called the limitations of being on the ground, my friend. Tied up with
Limitations.
one person.
Need a helmet
That's
with
why
my
I
daughter.
stick and move. I always stick and move.
He's got the dancer footwork.
That's right.
Dude, I can't get Bryan to do any jiu-jitsu.
I'm dying to do it.
No,
Dying
you're
to
not.
roll.
No, you're not. Dying?
Dying
Hey,
to roll.
dying?
I'm not 200,000 pounds of muscle. You
guys
should
should
roll
roll.
with me.
Yeah,
I would love it. I got to start rolling.
Instead of the Macho Man, Randy Savage.
Well, I'm
going
to come and train. This weekend's going to be the start of my training because I'm going to roll.
This weekend, I'm taking him to, we're going to San Francisco for business, but Saturday.
Stand up.
Yeah, and stand
Punchline.
up.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Keep going.
So on Saturday.
Almost sold out. Keep going.
San Francisco, one of the best cities for comedy in the history of our business.
No doubt.
Not our business, because I'm stand-up too.
We're all
stand-up.
Yeah,
exactly.
But we'll be rolling at Empowers with Jake Shields.
Oh,
Tark.
word,
yeah,
man.
Yeah.
There's a good guy to roll with.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's lighter, though.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
No, he has good control.
He can wrestle just a little bit.
He might be good. I can't wait to just to be treated like a piece of.
Yeah, that will be more like the humiliating, humbling experience. And rolling with me it'll make you feel.
I've rolled with
I think you
certain
guys
guys.
are good for each other, but at the same time too, when you go with high-level guys, they're not going to hurt you because they know what's going on.
You,
yeah,
man. They protect you big time.
Yeah. I rolled with I tried to roll with Nate Marquardt in his prime, and he was giggling.
Why? Why would you do that?
Because I'm an idiot. I like to I'm like.
Let me show you what I got.
Yeah, he was moving. Do you know how you stretch in bed where you're like? He was moving about that slow as he was just putting me.
Just annihilating.
Just kind of going.
That's what Hiron does to me. I think he literally says, "I wonder how slowly I can execute this technique before Freddie figures it out." I watched Hiron doing that
to Brendan. And Brendan, I've seen Brendan, and he'll never say this, but I've seen Brendan roll with world-class, high-level, big-time black belts and beat the fucking brakes off him. And one of the things that I remember when Joe Rogan said, how would you do against Cain Velasquez? And Brendan said, I think you'd be surprised. And Joe goes, I think you'd be surprised. Actually, Joe would be surprised because I happen to know for a fact that Brendan's rolled with monster Olympian wrestlers, et cetera, and not only held his own, beaten them up.
I don't remember the last monster you didn't fight on TV.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to, I'm like, why does he always pick?
No.
I don't pick him. Believe me, I don't pick him. They give me the call. I'm like, okay, cool.
You're like, really? Darth Vader again?
I'm like,
why?
Off air.
You can't throw me Dooku one time? General Grievous? Something.
Off the air when I give you the names of people that he's fucking taking down.
You're like me. I would never.
Yeah, because he doesn't like that. But having said that, I watched Hiron.
Dismantle me.
Just take Brendan. And Brendan started laughing because I was standing there with my mouth open, literally. And then later to Hiron, I go, bro, how are you beating the You're so good.
Yeah.
You're so good. He goes, oh, yeah, I'm just their teacher. I'm just their coach. I go, no. I'm not interested in your bullshit with your, you have your giant hands. He's showing me all this stuff. He's just walking around with this fucking long, lanky mongoose body. I'm like, you're so ridiculously good. He goes,
he's only like 6'3", man.
I think I'm saying he's 6'5". I'm saying he's 6'5".
Me and Hiron.
He's Ka.
Yeah. Me and Hiron have, we can have some different philosophies, especially when it comes to competing. When I was getting ready for Metamoris, the day before I go to him to break down moves, it's Henner, Hiron, and me in one room, and we're going over the exact game plan for Cyborg.
I was there. I remember this. Yeah.
And Hiron goes, dude, it's all good, man. I mean, just go in there, you get tapped out. Who cares? Go in there and get tapped out. I've never talked to Hiron like this. I looked down and go, what's wrong with you, man? I'm not going in there to get tapped out. We're not doing that. For sure, get on board.
Absolutely. Yo, Sugar Ray Leonard, they asked when he was going to fight Hagler. They said, what's going to happen if you lose? And he was like, if I lose? What? I've never thought that in my life. If I thought that, I would lose. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to whip his ass.
Yeah.
A fighter's brain does not.
Completely different.
I wish Hagler wouldn't have switched hands. He could have won that fight. But why did he switch hands?
I didn't know he switched hands.
Yeah, man.
I watched that fight twice.
He switched hands on him and started fighting on his weak side to show
that. There you go.
And every round he fought standard, he won, and he kept switching on it.
But that's Hagler. Hagler's such a.
Do you watch a lot of UFC?
Yeah. I'm any combat sport.
Do you let your kids watch it?
It depends. She wanted to watch Bryan's fight, and I said, "Well, let me watch it for Bryan Ortega." I said, "Well, let me watch first, just in case." And
fight.
At the end, I was like, "Baby, we're not going to be watching this one.
You're good on this one.
You don't need to see a pint of blood spilled onto another man."
Yeah.
But kudos to Bryan for whipping ass.
Heck yeah, that was a dope fight.
That guy helped me get my blue belt, Bryan Ortega.
He's one of the.
He was my bad guy when we did the test. He was my
nice,
bad guy.
man.
The
Really?
nicest bad guy you'll ever meet.
So Bryan and I made a bet for UFC 189, Jose Aldo versus Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
So
I cannot wait.
My heart, I want McGregor to win, right? I'm a
He's
big
not
fan of
gonna
McGregor. He's not going to win.
He's not gonna
However, Jose Aldo got hurt, fractured ribs.
Stop it.
What?
We'll find out today. Yeah, he's probably going to pull out.
Oh no.
That's brutal for the
Real
for
quick,
the sport.
There
man.
could not be a worse fight in the history of the UFC for a guy to get injured.
I'm saying this was
they
the
put
fight.
the most money ever in promotion, and now Jose's out.
No.
To me, Ewan is the first experiment the UFC's done.
Not you and Conor.
Where it's more hype than what you've earned, but he's good. Like, I'm not taking anything away from him, but it's like in WWF back in the old days, like they would set these guys up like with these tomato can fighters, their version of Dennis Seaver, right? And these guys would look great, and then at the pay-per-view when you pay to see them go, they get exposed and they get annihilated by the Iron Sheik.
I think he's
and I'm
the real
worried.
deal. No.
He may be, but he's not a healthy Jose.
He's not battle tested.
I'm with Freddie. I'm on his back.
I'm with Freddie on
this.
this.
Here's what I think. I think Conor McGregor is, first of all, is huge for that division, and I think he hits so much harder than almost anybody else in that division.
No, Chad Mendes hits harder.
I don't know about that.
Chad
look at
any
knockouts.
Damage to Jose.
Look at knockouts.
Well, I believe Conor's knocked out everybody. Again, he hasn't been battle tested, but
we went to decision you went to decision with Max Holloway.
I will say this about Conor, and you're a boxer, so you'll appreciate this.
Well,
Don't ever call him a boxer.
Okay, you're a dancer who enjoys boxing.
There you go. That's better. That's better.
Castanets. He moves straight back. And I never see Conor move side to side in defense. In offense, he creates angles, right?
Yeah.
He slips, he moves in with a jab at an angle. But when he backs up, and I've seen it in every single one of his UFC fights, I don't know anything about him before that, but he backs straight up. Now he's fast, right? He's got that fast step, and his hands are out here, usually really far.
Hard,
But that straight back stuff is what gets guys knocked out, man.
Well, I think
especially with Jose
I think his
Aldo.
hands are better than anybody's in the UFC. I mean certainly in that division. He was a European champion, boxing champion.
Yeah.
He's a hell of a boxer.
I don't have respect for the European boxing as much. Like, Carl Froch to me isn't this sniper that everyone said he
dominating.
was. He was.
Who is this?
Like you were talking about European boxing. I brought up Carl Froch, the English boxer.
He's like a poster boy over there.
And he technically looks good, but he's not putting anything into any of these punches. You know what I mean? Like, there's no hip movement from him, and I don't even know if he's going to be fighting too much more.
If
I'm just not a huge fan of the Euro
But if you're a
style.
European champion, I believe you're also fighting boxers that come out of Russia, and that amateur program is something else. Am I right about that? So
they would.
You got some legit
they
contenders.
would.
Yeah, for sure.
But I feel like if a guy like Ishe Smith went to Europe, he would never lose a fight ever, and he's 38 now and probably doesn't even fight anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
here's the question: going back to UFC 189, Jose Aldo most likely is out. Well, now you got your poster boy Conor McGregor fighting Frankie Edgar, which is a terrible matchup for him. Chad Mendes or Uriah Faber. It's one of those.
Has he ever fought a wrestler?
Nope. The UFC is purposely not giving him wrestlers.
I'll make a call right now on all three of those guys. I think he beats the fucking brakes out of all of them, and I'll tell you why.
God.
Let me tell you why.
What if he gets taken down?
And you know that
Frankie
Edgar puts
He's
pressure.
not touching
Frankie Edgar puts pressure. I think he's gonna. I think he hits hard enough to put someone like Frankie because he's so much
way
smaller
bigger and
out.
way stronger. I'll give you that.
And that's a big factor.
If he's never fought a wrestler,
he's never fought a wrestler, especially a wrestler Frankie's pedigree, and then Frankie's stand up.
Sure.
Pressure, his stamina.
It's a bad fight for Conor. I mean, I've said that.
They've purposely got him to this title fight, and he's jumped the front of the line so he can avoid these wrestlers.
Yeah.
And now on 2 week notice, right? 10 days.
Will they do that? Will they put Frankie Edgar in there?
Well, because Jose Aldo's probably out till October. Fractured ribs, you're out till October.
Is that true, dude?
Yeah.
Fuck.
He's gonna be out till
How
October.
the fuck do you fracture your ribs? Just sparring, I guess, right?
Sparring. He got kicked in the ribs.
God damn it.
By that training partner that we were talking about is what I heard.
Was it by Billarino?
That's what I heard. Maybe not. But
Are we sure they're fractured?
We're 100% sure they're fractured.
Have you ever had that? Fractured ribs?
Yes.
I've had a broken ribs. That's
horrible.
Chuck
There's
Norris,
nothing you can
Chuck
do.
Norris broke my rib when I was, I think, 14 years old.
What's wrong with him? What did he do?
He pulled his kick. He was trying to be. I thought I was hot. We were talking boxing earlier.
Yeah.
In New Mexico, I fought Golden Gloves at the Chavez gym, and Johnny Tapia was our main instructor when he was out of prison. He was in prison a lot, but he always stayed sober in prison. He would always come back very healthy and would knock a bunch of guys out, and then start doing coke
Get on
again.
it.
But crap, I lost track where I was going.
You got your ribs broken by
Chuck
Norris.
I thought
which, by the way, is incredible.
Dude, I thought I was hot shit, and I would always think that because my godfather would always tell me that, and then he would humiliate and humble me constantly. Guys like Gene LaBelle, he choked me out in the 3rd grade. I didn't know how to tap out.
Why are all these grown-ass men picking on you, man?
Because Freddie was
Choking
cocky.
me up. I had a
Good
single mother,
Lord.
so they were always like, "Hey, let me show you something." And my godfather had 2 daughters, so all he ever wanted was a son to like beat up and kick ass with. So I thought I was the man. I just won this boxing tournament in New Mexico. I came out and I threw this like what I thought was a sweet jab.
Are you in a ring with Chuck Norris?
No, we're on. He used to live on a street called Donna off Ventura in Tarzana.
Okay.
Tarzana, Southern California, off a street called Ventura Boulevard on Donna Lane. And he lived at the end of the street, and he had this huge house. My godfather was basically his next door neighbor. And they had a dojo in the backyard, and we were in the backyard, and he gave me a gi. It was super cool, right? I felt like Jonathan Brandis in Sidekicks.
Hell yeah.
And I'm like sitting there ready to go, and I pop this jab out, and he pulls the kick. It's not Chuck Norris throwing a hard kick. It's Chuck Norris just with a kid. And I literally was like... and couldn't breathe. And you do that thing like when you jump wrong on a trampoline when you're a kid and the wind goes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you always
make a weird noise.
the same three words. I can't breathe. And no air comes out. So and my godfather's laughing pretty much exactly like Brennan's laughing, like like he thinks it's the funniest, cruelest thing ever. And Chuck's like, "Oh my, I'm so sorry. You okay?" And my godfather's like, "Oh, he's fine." And then Chuck starts laughing at me, and I'm literally like, "Oh my god." A week later, I'm just in pain for a week. A week later, my godmother Lillian Wall, who's like 4'11" and can still mentally and verbally annihilate her husband Bob Wall, who could beat up anybody, and he's an old man now, and he'll still whoop all of us in this room.
Jesus.
And literally, she goes, "You know that his rib is broken, Bob. He has to go to a hospital." He goes, "Ribs heal." Like, and that's his
There's
response
nothing you
to
can do.
everything.
There's nothing you can do.
Nothing, and that's what he said.
Ribs, I went to the
Chuck
doctor's.
Norris can
not
look at your
doing
ribs.
it.
He can look at your ribs intensely, and your ribs will crack.
Did Chuck Norris go? That's 1%, buddy.
He did not do that.
That's just
He
1%.
did not. I tried to snatch a bald spot of hair out his chest like Bruce Lee.
Bruce
but I'm
Lee
not quick
grabbed
enough.
A week later, he put his hand on his ribs, and it healed miraculously.
Chuck did that.
Hey,
yeah.
come over here, kid.
Dude, but
Exactly.
ribs are nasty because there's nothing you can do. The blood flow to that area, there's just not a lot of blood circulating there, so
And
it takes
everything
forever
hurts.
to heal.
And if you breathe, which you're not supposed to do if you have a broken rib, because that slows the healing process.
Oh, God.
He could do some. I don't know if the commission would grant it. He could do some shady injections that could football players.
No,
do.
hell
Football
with that.
players do.
You
The
mean
hell with that.
cortisone or what?
Cortisone.
Well,
they
there's
can
more
numb it.
hardcore
Yeah, there's
ones,
more
yeah.
hardcore.
That's-
A lot of football players because
That
you deal with
speeds the recovery?
well, no,
Well,
you don't,
it-
it numbs
it
it.
makes you
till
not
after the
aware of
fight.
it,
You
but-
can't feel it.
But you're going to take more damage than you would 'cause
After the
it's
fight,
injured,
you're gonna.
yeah.
It's gonna be hell. But
I mean,
a lot of
would it
quarterbacks
be
do
worth it though? I mean, it's pretty.
Ben
amazing.
Roethlisberger actually spoke on the record about,
Oh, did
about
he?
a lot of that.
This is
yeah.
a big fight.
Not anymore, apparently. That sucks.
Huge
It's
fight.
brutal for UFC.
But
That's
they could
brutal.
both make a fortune off this fight. You might want to shoot yourself up.
But if you're Jose Aldo and you go to the fight at 80%, is that worth it?
No.
But then with the UFC,
I wouldn't. I would be 100%
So,
or no
so
go.
me too. So then with the UFC, so if you're Dana White, if you guys are Dana White, do you go, okay, we have our show pony here. He really hasn't been battle tested.
Big question.
Let's give him Frankie Edgar on 10-day notice.
Big
And Frankie's always in shape. Let's give him Chad Mendez on 10-day notice.
Chad Mendez-
Completely different.
And
Chad Mendez, 'cause
he's going to have 2 weeks to train for a wrestler. Oh, man.
When you're
That's-
fighting Jose Aldo, where wrestling it really isn't a.
I've never seen Jose.
Brendan,
Aldo, man,
Brendan, let me ask you this: it's not inconceivable to think that if our boy Conor fights Chad Mendez, that his takedown defense and his jab could keep him from being taken down.
No, he's
No?
going to get taken down 100%.
Really?
100%.
Why? Because you're talking about
Chad-
high-level
you're
wrestlers who just
What?
are going to take
Chad
you down.
Mendez?
Okay. How about this?
He's ranked number 1 in the
You
world.
get taken down, you keep standing up. You just pull a fucking Chuck Liddell or
Did Chad pull
because it's that easy.
in the second Aldo Mendez fight? Did Mendez get a
No.
takedown off? In the
Mendez did get a takedown.
He did,
Yeah,
right? It was
yeah.
the first fight
Yep.
that was that turnaround
Yeah.
fluke
Yep.
elbow.
Yep.
Dude, if you can get Aldo down, you can get McGregor down.
For sure.
If
It's
you can
just
get Aldo
it's just
down,
now
you can get
now
McGregor down.
what are we going to see when it goes to the ground? With the UFC, it's such a big risk because
It's a huge risk.
who's your superstars? Ronda, Conor McGregor. Really, that's it.
That's it.
John Jones is in, he's doing his thing.
Yeah.
We don't really have any super
I agree.
draw power right now. So then you're going to put Conor, you're going to risk all this promotion you've put into him against a guy like Frankie Edgar. Frankie Edgar doesn't have a lot of, he doesn't have a ton of fights left.
No, he doesn't.
And he's got nothing to lose.
He's one of those.
So
dudes.
pros and
Conor
cons.
has everything.
Pros
to
and
lose.
cons. Conor's gonna be around. He's the face of your organization
I don't
right
let.
now.
I personally don't let my golden boy fight a dude.
So you wait till
like that.
October. You can't do that. Conor's going through camp.
Can you give him a month? Can you post? You know what I mean?
You can
do it
postpone
on
to
another?
September. UFC 190.
just-
How long does it take to get those ribs?
October. He'll
And
be
you,
out. To
You
October.
enter him the championship.
You make him champ.
You make him champ, or you let him and Chad go for it, and then in October
That's a
when
big
Homeboy's
risk, isn't
better,
it,
you
Chad?
aim
Who would
for
you? Who
November.
do you think is more dangerous for him, Chad Mendez or Frankie?
You know what I do if I'm the UFC?
What?
I give him Uriah Faber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll beat
He'd beat Uriah.
Yeah, he has a better. I'm not gonna say he's gonna beat Uriah, but he has a better shot against Uriah by far. Than
3 or 4
Chad.
years ago, Uriah was a
Animal.
Well, yeah. Now,
But now Uriah, he's in
Yeah.
entertainment. He's doing all these shows. He fights, but at least I can see Conor winning that fight against Frankie and Chad. I don't see him winning those fights.
Wow, man.
So if you're the UFC, it's like, God, let's just film in with Uriah or someone else. But I don't think you give him Frankie.
you
or
can't
Chad.
go any further down the totem
No,
pole
you
than
can't.
Uriah.
Because
I
the
don't
public's
think.
gonna go, whoa,
Yeah,
whoa,
like,
what's
who's
going
that
on
guy?
here? This
Uriah's
guy's fake.
a face that's been on the free shows as well, so he's been in people's homes. He's been on your couch.
California kid.
When Uriah did this podcast, he goes, I mean, the guy quit. The guy was in an
Uriah
leg.
wants to fight him.
He was in a leg lock and he quit.
Because he has quit in him,
Like
yeah.
I was like, Jesus.
Well,
That's when you see the real fighter in Uriah, man.
But guess what? Now
Wow.
yeah.
Now I want to see him fight.
Frankie tweeted out 10 days. Let's do this. I'm ready right now.
Damn.
But that's the fight everyone wants to see, and he should have a title shot. He deserves a title shot.
Yeah, he does. I'm so depressed.
A lot of those guys got passed over.
And they're pissed about
Chad can't complain too much because he's had 2 cracks at it.
No, I'm not mad. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not mad at that. But Frankie,
Everybody wants to see
Frankie
Frankie
deserves
get a
it.
chance.
and he only has, like you said, so much time left before that shot actually means
But
something.
for the UFC, like Frankie's already said, he's been a champ. We get it. He's he only has a couple fights left, so they're like, God.
It's a big risk. So you think, as somebody who really knows this game, you think Frankie Edgar would beat Conor?
100%.
100%.
There couldn't be a worse fight for Conor.
Just because of the pressure and
I
he
think he'd win, but I don't
wrestling.
know about 100%. I mean,
I would say if they fight 100 times, Frankie wins 95.
I think Frankie eats a lot of fucking
No
Conor
way.
McGregor's punches. A lot.
For you to base that off 5 fights against lower level
No, I
opponents
just
is crazy.
I just think that
Yeah, like the
Conor's
Seaver
bigger,
fight is the last
is
one.
a better
Bigger,
boxer and hits
slower.
harder.
Okay, all that, you know what that equals? Slower. Think how fast Frankie is.
Frankie's a motherfucker.
The only time Frankie's been hit is Gray Maynard.
Look what he did to
Uriah. Look what he did to Cub Swanson.
Cub Swanson.
yeah,
I mean, just that
and
pressure.
everybody was high on Cub.
That's Cub too. That's not
Everyone
that's
was
not
high on
shitty
Cub.
Cub.
And
that
you might
fight.
see Conor against the cage getting his face bloodied by a
It's gonna be hard to hit Frankie, man.
hard.
I don't think
If
the
he
UFC
takes him
gives
to the
him Frankie.
ground, he'll-
I think the UFC is very aware of what Frankie brings to the table. Although he deserves it, they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
By the time this podcast comes out, I bet UFC is going to announce it because I have to shoot UFC Tonight, and they should. No, they should know tonight. Yeah.
Damn.
Literally
man.
UFC Tonight. They should know.
I can't believe you're Jose broke his goddamn ribs.
Jose,
That's
there couldn't be.
That's the
Literally,
worst.
if there's one fight in the history of the UFC where we're like, dude, do not get hurt.
Yeah.
We've put
Yeah.
more money ever
Yeah.
into this fight. This is the biggest fight of the year. It's one of the biggest fights ever in UFC history. Do not get
They're
hurt.
bigger stars than the heavyweights. They're bigger stars
Oh,
than the
right.
light
Oh,
heavyweights.
by far.
Like,
It couldn't have been any worse.
like Cormier's got great personality, but he's not.
He's not
star.
exciting.
Like
yeah.
he's not the
No.
star, right? He's a guy that has credibility and people respect him. But
Dude.
he's almost like he could get there. Like his personality's big enough that he could become a star.
He's not
But
dressing like a
Jose-
1920s wizard with a
well,
fantastic
yeah,
beard.
and who has a great
mouthpiece.
great mouthpiece.
Yes.
And Jose has this like that Rick James aura, right? Like he doesn't have to say anything.
He hasn't lost in 9 years. You don't have to say anything.
Dude, when they had that close up of him just smiling at Ewan after Ewan's fight when he killed Silva,
Conor.
I'm just like, Connor. Why'd I call you?
Because
he's
Ewan
the actor,
McGregor,
and I
yeah,
love
yeah,
Star Wars.
yeah.
Total fucking dork. Yeah.
I was
Thanks,
like,
Obi-Wan.
is it a McGregor nickname?
Dude,
I've
Obi-Wan would whip Jose's
No,
ass.
I've let it slide
in
twice
less
now.
than one round. In less than one round.
You're letting it slide because you like Freddie. I'm like,
I
oh,
love
my.
Freddie. Yeah, I thought maybe it was a nickname. Like,
There's
shit,
not a
maybe he knows
Jedi
him.
on Earth that would lose to a UFC fighter. I'm putting that on the table right now.
I would agree with you.
Right
on
now.
That. I would agree with you on that. I would agree with you.
There was that one little Akbar looking guy. He'd probably lose.
yeah.
But outside of that,
Other
man,
than that,
Jedi
other than
are
that.
no joke.
Yeah, man. I don't know, man. God.
It bummed me out when I saw it because me and Callen made a bet on we sell merchandise. Right? I said, all right, I'll bet you 1 month's merchandise. Aldo wins the fight.
I
and you get Conor.
would take the Aldo half
Yes.
of that bet.
Well,
I'm
now
taking the
everyone's
Aldo.
tweeting. Last night, everyone's tweeting at me, and they're like, "Oh, what happens now?" I'm like, "What happens? What are they talking about?" And I see Aldo fight in Jeopardy, fractured ribs. They'll know today, though.
That sucks. That's brutal.
So it's 100% he's out.
It's 100% out. He has fractured ribs. It's not 100% what we know if he's backing out yet or
Fuck,
not.
do you fracture?
Because, like I said, you can do some stuff. It might be
Yeah, but he'll get
upon.
annihilated. If Conor knows that, look,
He's going to kick him right in the ribs.
Conor he has a right hook that he can throw to your body, and those arms are long as hell. Like, that's the only thing he's going to target, man. You can't take that fight.
With fractured
Nah, you can't do it, man.
You could.
I can't breathe with a cracked rib.
Ooh, it's
Granted,
bad.
I didn't grow up like Marvin Hagler said. It's tough to wake up at 4 a.m. to run when you sleep in silk pajamas. Like,
true.
I don't have the fire and the heart that Jose has, but a cracked rib is no joke.
Well,
a strained oblique is no joke.
Yeah.
There
Now
could be a
with a
worse
cracked
injury.
bone, man.
There could be a worse
Why
injury.
would you be sparring on that level 10 days out and get kicked like that?
Probably creature of habit, man.
Yeah, he's 9 times.
just want the same
He
thing
hasn't
every
lost
day,
in
man.
9
I
years.
think he knows what he's doing. In other
Yes.
words.
He's also got to that point by training so hard,
Yeah.
you know. But he probably should scale it back. But who knows?
It's
Maybe-
hard to
maybe he
change
wasn't going
training
that hard.
habits, man, for any athlete.
Especially when you're
It's creatures
successful.
of habit. Yeah,
What
man.
are you
You
gonna do?
the same
Someone
thing,
say, "Hey,
same
listen,
thing,
man,
same thing."
you haven't lost in 9 years. I know you usually spar 10 days out. Let's not do that
And-
in the biggest fight of your life."
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
Can we just
the
tweak
company's
this?
on your shoulders too?
Yeah,
Can you help us out?
Yeah,
Thanks.
can you help us out?
Damn it.
Can you just take the fight and lose?
Ugh.
You're crazy if you don't think someone threw that idea out there.
By the way,
Can you just go in
I
there?
thought that idea got thrown out there about 10 years ago with someone whose name I'm not going to say, and I was like, "What?
Really?
Looks like a fake fight."
Named Ken Shamrock?
I'm not going to say anything about anyone, but I
Yeah.
remember watching a
Was it-
fight.
We'll
going,
talk off air.
That looks a lot like Bruce Seldon getting
Did-
knocked
did
out by
his-
Mike Tyson when he got out of
Yeah.
jail.
Did his
Like,
name did his name rhyme with Shen Amrock?
it may have. I'm just not going to say anybody's name.
If Jose actually, it's kind of a good point. Go in,
Get the payday.
get the payday, lose.
Don't
Listen,
take it here.
lose.
Right, that's what we do,
hold,
man.
This is the dark comedian's mind infecting
Bro.
you. Don't let it infect
go
you.
in.
No, I'm
You
dark.
need antibiotics.
I'm darker than him, I think.
Win-win.
Oh, no.
When it comes to sports.
Win-win situation. Go in, lose.
Oh.
If you win, you're a hero.
And
Shoot
maybe injured
yourself
for the
up.
rest of your career.
Yep.
Maybe.
Maybe not be the same. It's
Shoot
a red.
yourself up. Get your millions of dollars. Shoot yourself up.
Get poked in the eye.
You're numb. You lose. Guess what? My ribs were broken. I lost. I'll be back when I'm healthy.
Or you can
And
bite him.
Fast forward October.
Fast forward October, healthy as shit, rich as shit, and now
Rematch.
we're like,
Build it
let's
up
see
more.
you fight a healthy Jose.
I don't
Jose's
know.
great. Yeah,
I don't know.
It's his legacy. And also, you know who's not thinking like that? Jose Aldo.
yeah. I
He's
know.
not in Brazil
Listen to
going,
me.
"Oh, how can I make more money?
Yeah.
How can I figure this out?" Nope. You're talking about a stone cold killer world
bro.
champ whose ego isn't going to succumb to money.
No,
And his dollar stretches a lot longer down there anyway. He's
so
already
bummed.
doing okay.
I'm so bummed out.
That's we got all quiet at the same time, right? That was
Everyone's all
It
sad.
was like, oh. It was like he's not doing another Captain America.
Well, what can you do?
All right,
What can you
let's
do?
go to some
Current events?
Current events.
What you got, Ev?
I feel like I'm in high
Sure
school
thing.
again all of a sudden.
Right?
I sucked at current events. Civics class?
You
Oh,
don't have
God.
to have any point of view on this.
They shouldn't have made a first period. I never shut up. Like,
You'll be fine for these ones.
okay, fantastic.
I think you'll be
Spell
all right with
cat.
these.
All right, I can do that.
All right. So first current event comes from yesterday. P Diddy swung a kettlebell at a strength and conditioning coach at UCLA for being mean to his son.
I know this coach.
The fuck's up with that? Yeah, it's the guy from the
the
tripped up
Jets.
the Dolphins player, right?
Yeah,
And like
he
tore
was
his
strength coach
ACL.
for the Jets.
By the way,
yeah.
you connect with a kettlebell, and your brains.
That's
are,
why it's assault with a deadly weapon.
Yeah.
That's right.
A kettlebell.
Yeah.
So this is what happened.
Helicopter parenting gone
Dude,
awry.
yeah, you can't do that. Yeah,
You
exactly.
gotta let your kids fall on their ass.
So
man.
his son is on scholarship at University of California,
needs
Los
the
Angeles,
money? Yeah.
UCLA, right? Not the best player at all. And from what I
I'm
hear,
sorry, he's on scholarship playing.
football at UCLA.
Oh wow, okay.
So, and P. Diddy donates a lot of money, so who knows what's going on there. So his son's on the team, not a very good player, lazy and talks back. So they were doing summer workouts, and the strength coach, Sal, right? Sal kicks the kid out. Well, P. Diddy's there, has some words with him, goes down. Well, this Sal guy is very, he's
Macho
an ego. Yeah, he trains NFL athletes, UCLA
He's
athletes.
not hearing a peep out of fucking
dealing with
P. Diddy.
alpha males all
Yeah.
day.
He
doesn't
does-
deal with
he
some
does-
beta
Yeah,
male,
don't
but
come at
yeah.
that guy with your warrior energy,
Yeah.
P. Diddy.
He
Don't do that.
does not care if P. Diddy
Either,
thinks.
either do I.
So
Keep
P.
going.
Diddy comes down to be like, "Hey, can't treat my son this way," and this guy's like, "Huh?" Has some choice words for him. P. Diddy grabs the kettlebell and tries to attack him.
Well, it would have been appropriate if Sal had fucking driven his fist into P. Diddy's face.
It'd been awesome if he did.
I have a problem with P. Diddy because I saw him I saw a picture of him walking down the beach in, I think it was Dominican Republic, and somebody was holding an umbrella for him as he's walking down. He can go fuck himself.
Well, no, that's kind of cool.
He also bought his
But
son.
he
also
did
bought
have
a
somebody
16-year-old
hold the kettlebell for him and swing it.
Yeah.
Hit him. Hit him with that kettlebell.
All I know
That's
is Snoop Dogg's son ain't having those issues, and Snoop Dogg
he's
ain't
a legit
swinging,
player.
Yeah, he ain't swinging kettlebells.
No,
in
yeah.
He
You
should
know,
take some lessons from Calvin Brodus.
You know,
Really?
the guy buys his 16-year-old a Maybach. Okay, go fuck yourself.
Oh, really? The kid at UCLA has a shitty work ethic? Go figure.
What a surprise.
Go figure.
What a surprise.
Yeah, it's like
I don't know the whole story.
that's the
so
silk pajamas thing again, man. Like, like your dad's P Diddy. Like,
Yeah,
if
man.
you had a Maybach at 16, you're already fucked.
I
Like,
agree.
Just
I agree
quit.
with you.
Just quit. Don't work. Because you don't have to, but don't try to contribute dick to society. 'Cause it's all going
Dick
to
to
be
society.
bad. It's all going to be, your perspective is completely
Have-
screwed up.
have-
That documentary and all those rich kids 10 years ago.
Oh, dude.
The Johnson & Johnson or
Yes.
somebody, like,
Yes.
even the documentarian who was a rich kid came off like a dildo. Like, you know what I mean? Like, your perspective is wrong. I know you think it's
way
right.
skewed,
It's
yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
Now, with your
ruined.
success, you know, with the movies and the money you got, did you make any stupid choices financially?
Dude, my
Did you buy like a
No.
Ferrari
You
Testarossa
kind of
or
made it
anything?
yourself, though. You
My
kind of
uncle-
made just to say this before you answer that question. You did. Your dad may have been Freddie Prinze Jr., but you didn't get successful because of your dad.
No.
You just that's not what happens in a room. You had
Yeah, I
to win
don't
that
trip on
audition.
that.
No, they don't.
You had to win that audition. You had to be good enough.
my
Thanks
thing-
for putting
It's
that
true.
out there,
A
Brian.
lot of people would think
I
otherwise.
appreciate that.
People would think
you didn't have to
otherwise.
say that. I appreciate you.
People
saying
would
that.
think otherwise.
No,
but
look,
know
I had to
that.
lie and say I was Ryan Phillippe about that. I have evidence to support your argument, dude. I
Did you
always
make any
felt
bad
that,
choices or no?
Nah, man. I felt like my uncle said a car's sole function is to get you from point A to point B, and anything it does for you beyond that is making up for character you feel you lack.
Oh wow!
And he
I
used to
disagree.
beat that kind of crap into my brain. I drive a Toyota, man. Like I got a 4Runner. Before that, I had a.
What about your
Highlander.
wife?
She has the
She's the same?
one just above the 4Runner. What's that called?
Sequoia.
The bigger one.
Yeah,
I don't know.
pretty
Whatever
sure
the bigger
Sequoia.
one is.
Yeah.
She has that
Sensible
one. So
people. Yeah.
I just don't like. I don't. All those young actors, when Vegas started selling apartments, they were like, "We're gonna buy apartments in Las Vegas. You should buy one." And I'm like, "What? They pay you to go to Vegas? Like I've never paid for a hotel room
Yeah.
in Las Vegas in my life. And why would you want to be there more than 3
Oh,
days?
I know.
Like,
Oh.
and they're like, "Well, we can rent it out." I'm like, "To who? Other people that are getting free hotel rooms?" Like,
Yeah.
and all those kids, like, they all spent their money. They all drove Phantoms. They bought 3 houses. All their friends lived with them.
All broke.
All broke.
I know.
Well,
Really?
a couple of guys smartened up, but almost every single one of them got divorced and went broke and fucked around and got in trouble.
It's a bad.
Wow.
It's a sad story when you see.
I'd rather not be grinding it out in an audition room when I'm 55 years old. Like I just can't.
Was there?
I would not. I would go to Montana, like if that was the case.
Was there a time when you were on set where you're like, you know what, fuck this, man. I'm over this.
Oh, yeah.
This is it.
Even before I made it to the sitcom status, you always get frustrated, and I didn't like seeing the way certain people got treated. I really hate bullies. I always have. I would get in conflicts with guys if they acted like a dick. You know, I was always friends with the crew much more and the stunt guys much more than the actors.
Yeah, we were talking about.
I don't have a lot in common with that. I can talk about Sean Penn for about 60 seconds.
Yeah.
He's a really sick actor. It was crazy that he plucked a bald spot in his head for Carlito's Way. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's all I got, man.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's all I
it.
got. And every
Yeah.
actor I'd hang with would be like, fucking Penn, man. Fucking. I'm just like,
I know.
I saw all his movies. I saw The Game. It wasn't that good.
We,
Like,
we
it
were
was
also
cool.
talking about what it's like to shoot a movie and how much time you
Hurry
wait
up and
around.
wait.
Boring.
If people saw how movies are shot, you wouldn't. People magazine would be out of business. Like
Yeah.
nobody would be like,
Really?
"There's that actor."
John Malkovich said, "I act for free. They pay me to wait."
Yeah.
Like, and it's true, man. Like,
right.
it's you sit 12 hours a day, you work an hour or two, and then you go home. And nowadays, because nothing shoots in L.A., you're in Prague,
Away
which
from your
is really
kids.
cool if you're 22 and single and not at work.
Yeah.
Then
No
it's awesome. There's tons of
responsibilities.
Eastern
Yeah.
European women. It's great.
Yeah.
But when you work all day and you have kids and a wife and you're trying to, plant roots and start something, and have a home, it's just not conducive to that.
Is your
I can't-
wife? Is your wife still?
She
working?
has one foot out the door already.
Yeah.
She thinks about it. Like people will still offer me things for some reason.
I'm sure.
Even I just got offered a show in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
And I literally was like, why would you even send me a script if it shoots in Austin? I love Austin. It's
Yeah.
great. They actually have good sushi in Austin.
you're not gonna leave
I'm
your
never gonna
family.
work there. Like
Yeah.
unless my kids quit school, you know what I mean? I'm gonna homeschool them? No.
Yeah.
They'll be weirdos. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? My friend was homeschooled. I love him, but he's fucking fucking weird.
They're a little different.
He's a
Homeschool
weird
kids
guy.
are a little
100%.
different. Their
He's-
social skills aren't great.
Oh my
Gee,
God,
I wonder
man.
why.
It's just like
I wonder
he's the
why.
shrieking violet in
Yeah.
every room we
You
go
make
in.
fun of them, they just disappear.
We embarrass him on purpose. Give it up for Bryan, and he gets super mad.
Dude, you're so right, man. Like homeschooling is like, I don't know, unless it's a homeschool with 25 kids.
And I
Otherwise,
needed someone way smarter than me teaching my kids,
Yeah.
man.
They give you
Well,
a
the-
I
curriculum.
told you I skipped civics class. That wasn't the only
The worst
one.
is when the parents aren't very educated and they're like, yeah, we're going to homeschool. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah, good
that's
luck.
great.
Next event.
Next one. So, Freddie, I'll give you a little backstory here. Brendan really wants us to go to, somewhere outside, whether it's Austin, Boston, whatever, and do a
Spartan
do
race.
a Spartan race, mud run kind of deal.
Build camaraderie, team.
Yeah, you might reconsider it after this story. In Dallas, a woman is saying she went blind in one eye after catching a flesh-eating bacteria during a mud run.
So she got in the mud, it went in her eye, and she lost her eye?
Yeah, she went in the mud and
Christ.
but like
First of all,
12
I've
hours
never
later,
done a
she's
mud
blind.
run without full snorkel gear, and I've never had an issue. So this
Zero.
is more on her.
That's on her.
This is a her
Wear
issue.
goggles.
Yeah, you got to wear the Michael Phelps goggles, or you're going down. You're
That
going down.
doesn't faze me at all.
Really? 'Cause
No,
you're-
that's like my buddy like, hey, dude, I slept with this girl and whatever. I got freaking spots on my dick. Don't be a baby. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, I don't
be
like
a
that.
baby.
Nick
Rub
Credit
some
stuff.
dirt on it. Get back in the game. Like,
Get
that's-
in there.
The game.
Don't take that advice. Anyone listening?
It
right
burns
now.
when I pee. Rub dirt on it. Rub dirt on it. It works.
That doesn't scare me at all.
You're not going to give
You know,
the
you know
pros
the
and
chance
cons?
of you getting mud in your eye and going blind?
Pretty high.
Not high at all.
Well, I'm not doing it now.
God dang it.
Worked on me. I'm afraid of losing
Evan,
my
see
eye.
what you did?
I don't want to come to work like with an eye patch. Hey, I have to be and now the fighter and
You would
the
look
fighter
sick
and the
with
pirate.
an eye
Yeah,
patch.
it'd bring
Hold
a-
on a second.
you'd have a lot
Hold on.
more
Now I'm
characters.
getting in- Dude, you would look cool with an eye patch.
Yeah.
You custom it out. You're not
Yeah,
just going to
dude.
get
No,
like a
yeah,
standard
You're
one.
bedazzled that iPad.
Yeah, be like in the
Let
form
us
of
bedazzle some sweet shit on there for
be in the
you.
form of a bat, like the Batman logo,
It can be any logo you want. It's
or-
not gonna. It'll
or
be
half
what
a
we
veil like
decide.
Prince wears.
You should let us design it.
All right.
It's a conversation starter.
conversation.
We'll go to bars. Girls be like, oh my God, look at his eye. I'm like, yeah, I know.
It'll come
I
off
might
real,
wear one in San
It'll come
Francisco.
off real professional on stage.
It's like
real
my
professional.
buddies. I got to New York and they were sitting around, these big Wall Street guys. They go, "How much for your eyeball?" I was like, "Excuse me." They go, "How much would your eyeball cost? Like, how much money would you have to get for your eyeball?" And I was like, "Oh no, I'm not."
That's
in."
what Wall Street guys are like.
Yeah, and I go, and I'm not in. I go, "Oh no, the money's not that important. Nothing." And he goes, "What do you mean nothing? How much?" And so
I made
go,
$13 million this morning. What do you mean?
That's it. They were all mad at me. I go,
Dude.
all right, all right. And I go, I guess for charity, I'd put $1 billion. And they go, a billion for your fucking eyeball? Your fucking bullshit eyeball? I'll buy your whole life for $15 million.
Sounds
you piece of
horrible,
shit.
guys.
Who
They're
are these
awful.
guys?
I go, how much for your eyeball? He goes, 200 fucking million. I'll wear an eye patch. I don't give a fuck. Dead serious.
What happens if you would said 200 million? Like, Greg, get his eye.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
Greg, take his eye.
In the
out.
90s, when all these brilliant minds and that you're hanging out with,
Yeah.
instead
Yeah.
of going into like science and trying to cure cancer and all that,
No.
everybody went into finance
That's right.
and law.
Animals. Animals. They start talking about how much for one knuckle.
Sounds like
half a
Hostile.
finger.
I don't want people telling me all people are
Hostile
basically
too.
good. That is bullshit.
No,
Bullshit.
gangsters in suits.
Yeah,
I know a lot of them.
exactly,
Next
exactly.
event.
All right, this will be the last current event. Brendan, I hope you'll be excited about this. You're borderline my age. The Rock is going to star in a film adaptation of the classic Nintendo game Rampage.
With
Now,
the
if you
big
remember,
animals?
with the wolf,
lizard,
the
the
lizard, and
donkey?
the
The
gorilla.
The lizard
that-
was Lizzie. Let me see if I can remember
my
these.
God.
The wolf was Ralph, and the King Kong ape was. Oh man, some nerd out
It's
there is going.
impressive.
You don't know shit, Freddie. Lizzie, George, and Ralph. Boom.
Dang.
Rampage,
Wow.
son.
Dude.
Rampage, son. Rampage it up, son.
I,
You never played this
no,
game.
never
'cause You're
heard
old
of
as
it.
shit.
Never heard of it.
How are they going to make the game?
solid
Is he
game.
one of the lizards or what?
They can't be a
The
lizard.
Rock is stopping them. He's the protagonist. The
Oh,
animals
okay.
are the
So here's what
antagonists.
this is.
Sounds like
They're
a terrible
releasing this
movie.
movie called Pixels, which is like 80s games come
Yes.
to life. So now they're going, we got to get our Pixels.
Yes.
So that's all this is.
Sounds like a terrible
I love The
idea.
Rock. I hope he doesn't do it. I heard he was going to do Big Trouble in Little China, that he was going to be the
I
new
love
Jack
that
Burton.
movie.
I
With
really
Kurt
hope.
Russell.
Yeah, it's a perfect movie and shouldn't be remade, but
I agree.
everything gets remade, so I would love to have The Rock in there. The
You don't want a
Rock's
Rampage movie, huh?
uncle is Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
I
the
knew-
old
yeah.
school
What?
wrestler
Yep.
from WWE. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
He comes
brother,
from wrestling.
coming off the top.
His dad was a wrestler too, right?
Yeah, his dad was Rocky Johnson.
Yep.
Yeah, his grandfather was High Chief Maivia, who literally
Educate
is
him,
a
Freddie.
Samoan chief, and he was a pro wrestler like way back in the day, one of the first.
And The
Samoans
Rock
to
is
ever come
Samoan
over.
and African
and
American.
black, yeah, and grew up. I think Did he spend some time in Hawaii? I think maybe. I don't remember.
I think so. Hawaii.
It's a nice combo. I like that. I'm not mad at the combo.
Bro, he has a cousin, and her name's Tamina. I believe she's married to Troy Polamalu. She deadlifts more than just about everyone on the male roster. I used to work for Vince McMahon for like 2 years.
You were a writer for WWE?
Dude,
what'd you do?
More than that. They had me start writing for specific guys, and then the second time I worked there, he just had me work with the kids they were trying to get over, help them with their promos and their acting. And stuff.
Wow.
So I would just do like the same acting workshops my coach did for me, but for these like 7-foot dudes.
Who were just terrible at that.
So sometimes you got to teach people just technically, right? Because some people just can't act. They're not creative. They're just big and scary, right? So
we call them meatheads.
Meatheads. There you go. So I would do the promo for them. Like, just fucking copy me, okay? Just copy me. It's going to be all good.
Were you like, oh, yeah, brother.
I would do
Here we are, Saturday night.
Anything they needed to do,
really?
I was there to get them over.
That sounds fun.
It was a blast, man. I was traveling with them. Once we had kids, I quit. But I
that
literally
schedule's
was going
not fun.
No. I was on the plane with Vince, and we would break down every script. And then he would tell me everything that went wrong after the show, everything that went right.
Dang,
man, it was an amazing experience. I would hang with The Rock. My wife did a movie with Dwayne. I've always dug his acting. I really hope that they don't make this movie because
it's happening, my man.
That would blow.
I love The Rock.
Dwayne, if you're listening, just do Big Trouble in Little China. It's
cool. And he also plays. He's a huge fan of the podcast. He also plays the piano. I want to get him on the podcast.
Does he play the piano?
Yes, he does, and he plays the piano.
He's got Italian sausages for fingers.
Plays the piano. Plays the piano pretty damn well.
What do you think makes him so? Because coming from wrestling,
this is the easiest question in the world.
Charisma.
But let's look deeper. Like, what is that? And because plenty of people have charisma, it's are you willing to let it out? And the greatest thing with DJ, well, that's what they call him in wrestling with The Rock.
Dwayne Johnson,
is he wasn't afraid to fail. And if he blew a promo, or as we would call it a monologue, like in the middle of the ring talking, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? Like, it's live TV, and so a lot of people freeze up. And so my thing would be to make them feel as stupid as possible, like backstage. And then when it was over, everything was cool and groovy in the hopes that, like, yo, if you fall on your face, you still work here. Like, the company's invested money. You're not, it's like, and I would tell him, I'd say, dude, it's like working out. Like, if your muscle doesn't fail, it's not going to get bigger. If you don't fail at this, you're not going to get better. And a lot of times it's just a fear of failure that keeps good act. Like, for me, man, I was scared to show real shit. So, and She's All That, sorry if you love it.
I love that movie.
I didn't give anything real. That was all pretend.
Kiss me.
I didn't think about my dad one time. You know what I mean? It took, I did the movie with Jerry and Scott. And I like the way I saw Scott work, and I like the way he brought a lot of his real life to a lot of pain. And I really just started exploring that more. And this is later in my career, man.
Yeah.
So apparently I sucked until then. But I felt really safe and comfortable with this group of guys, and so I just went for it, man. And that's when everything sort of clicked for me, and I started working for Vince
That's in sports too, though.
I would agree.
Because if you ran UFC and you said before the fight, if you brought everyone together and said, listen, man, you guys are going to make mistakes. Don't worry about losing. Go out there and perform, and you're going to be fine. I think we'd see a lot better fights. Because for me,
I'm with you.
I've told you this before, I'm so afraid to fail. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I'm so
because in practice you're fighting differently than you are when you're in the
ring. Because in practice you fail, whatever. Who cares?
But that's what practice is for, right? It's like, and so you feel safe to fail there. So that's literally what I was trying to do to them. Backstage, like, there was this one guy, I was like, do it in a British accent. He goes like, I don't have a British accent. I said, exactly. You're going to sound like an asshole. Do it right now. And in front of all his peers, because we're all in this like one room, he had to cut this promo, and it's the worst British accent you've ever heard in his life. And later that night, he killed the most amazing promo that you'd ever seen this guy. The guy became champ like 6 weeks later. This dude, Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
And there was no way they were going to give him the title. Had some drug issues back then. I didn't mean to make him champ. It just worked out that way. Yeah. But I would just write sick, like, stoner monologues for him, and he embraced it. And when he was finally done being scared and terrified, he turned into Heath Ledger from Batman and just, like, painted his face and hid his face so people couldn't see it. And then he was doing these, I would shoot him with a black light and a camera. They make you do everything there.
Yeah.
Like, you barely have a crew to work with you. And so we would just go and bust him out, and literally 6 weeks later, he was champ. I
That's
remember.
amazing.
No
man.
steroids in WWE. None at all. It's
what?
all natural. It's all natural.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Everyone
No, I'm
does
sorry.
that.
I know. I'm sorry. Stupid
Just like
question.
all sports, there's no steroids.
no
in
steroids.
sports.
Any
Any
sort.
sort.
USADA is a very respectable corporation. Dr. Black is top shelf.
Obviously.
Have him on your show.
I want to
Yeah.
just reiterate that there are no steroids in WWE or professional sports.
That's right.
What else you got, Ev?
That's a wrap on current
That's it.
events.
Questions?
You got a creep line, Kay?
Oh, Kay's got a creep.
Wait,
creep
what
line.
is a creep line?
Creep
Creep
line?
lines
Is,
it's opposite of love line. So we get because she's in a it's like start creep line.
Okay, great. I'm on board.
Yeah.
Opposite of love lines is
Opposite
the
of love
perfect
line.
description.
So
of
we
creep
so
lines.
obviously she's an attractive young woman. She gets a lot of creepy
stuff.
stories. Yeah, we get creepy stories.
Yep.
Yeah. So she shares some of the creepy things guys say to her, or they send her creepy things that have happened to
Yeah.
Nice.
them.
and now it's time for creep line, and I'll make a creepy noise. Oh, I'm old.
I don't know what that is.
So weird.
Sounds
Okay.
creepy.
That made me feel
So-
uncomfortable.
I feel creepy now.
Yeah.
Well, we all feel
My
creepy.
shoulders literally went up when he did
Oh,
it.
my back.
All right, so this guy got a new job, and one of his coworkers is a gay, flirty Vietnamese dude. All right.
Nice.
So they were in the bathroom together, and the guy asked him how long he's been working out, and asked to see my stomach, so I show him, which I don't know why he would do that, and proceeds
You
to
just stole my whole
compliment
thing.
me and tell me how sexy I am, and he wants to rub my hairy chest. Then he's putting something outside on display. He sees me check out this smoke show and gets close and tells me how he wishes I'd look at him like that. Then today on his break, he hit up the bathroom, and lo and behold, there he is. This time he's telling me about how he wants to give me a blowjob and how he'd suck it good.
Oh, well,
I will say this about
it's
the
not too
gentleman.
creepy because he's up front about
He's
it.
up front
I
about
was
it. He's
gonna
also,
say, he seems like a really just a
Straightforward.
straightforward guy.
Yeah.
Like, yo, you're hot. Let's do some stuff. What's up?
and also he is Vietnamese. And
The other guy's
typically-
creepy. The guy complaining is the creep. Why'd you show him your abs? Like, are you missing attention? Your lady don't care?
Why
Like,
did he show him?
You're in the bathroom. You
work
seem
this
to keep
out,
coming
bro.
back for more. And I will say this. If you are from Vietnam, chances are he doesn't have a lot of hair on his face. And a blowjob from a man.
This is gonna get weird.
about
close
to
your
get
eyes.
real
If
bad.
you close your
You
eyes,
made it
it's not that
creepy.
creepy is the point I'm trying to make.
If you close your eyes, it's not that creepy. Was the point you wanted
I
to
think
make?
so, Freddie. I'm not sure.
That takes the cake.
Out
and
of
the
all
pure
the
creepy.
points
Let's
you
get
could
back to
make?
Freddie's point. The guy's creepy. I mean, you keep coming back for more. You're showing him your chest, your abs. You're like,
Just let him rub the chest hair.
Just
Yeah.
don't,
You know you want this guy wants his chest hair rubbed.
Yes.
He does.
Don't
Or he
be
doesn't-
weird about it.
Why would you say it publicly if he this guy's
I
looking
like the
for
guy
a
waiting in
chest
the
rub.
bathroom. Hey, you gonna get your dick out, huh? Mind
But
if I hang
I
out?
want
here?
suck it.
I want to show you. I want to show you his picture that he sent me to tell me this story.
Wait, but I don't want to see your friend's abs.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is what he sent me.
a little rubber ducky.
Well, sticking out his jeans like it's his penis. That's creepy.
Wait,
as
now
shit.
that's the guy sticking out of his jeans. That's kind of adorable, actually.
What?
Oh, so I mean, it's kind of
Brian's-
creepy. It's creepy.
So
It's
that-
creepy. It's creepy.
Instead of a dick pic, it's a
Right.
rubber ducky
It's a
sticking
duck
out
pic,
like
duck
his dick.
pic.
Yeah, I don't know
That's-
what to say about
Well,
this guy.
I'm not
Creep here.
The 100% the guy who's saying this is the creep.
Yeah, the guy complaining is the creep. The other guy seems really honest.
Yeah. Sounds like a good guy.
Yeah, he's
Sounds
like,
like a
look,
good
I'm
guy.
Maybe
a,
send him my
he's like, I'm a
info."
pervert. Are you into pervs? Okay,
Yep.
let's roll. Like that seems to be
At least he's up
the
front.
Vietnamese dude.
Let's get some
That
fan
reminds me of the
questions
Richard
going.
Pryor bit on the Vietnam guys when they tried to send him over. I can't say half the words that he used. I wish I could. All right.
Oh yeah,
I wish I
know-
could,
I
yeah.
know
I
that
won't.
bit.
He was trying to teach Vietnamese people how to assimilate in 70s America. And the only word that they were teaching the Vietnamese
The N-word?
children was just say, N-word, 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 N-word. And if
Yeah.
you get your ass kicked in New York City, then you know you said it right. He went much deeper than that.
Yeah.
What you got, Ev?
First fan question is from Sean Trenery. Freddie, which UFC personality would you most like to portray in a movie?
Oh, my God. If I ever had
Carlos
an
Condit-
opportunity
Carlos
to do that. Carlos, we're both from Albuquerque.
That's true.
Although he went to a high school that was my rival. Honestly, I would go all the way back to the beginning. I would want to do more like a biopic and do Hoist and that whole
that'd be
like
cool.
the whole sort of invention of it and why he was chosen to represent the family instead of Horian because he was the smaller man and they really wanted to
I'd watch
showcase
that.
like the beauty of it. And he won that whole thing and I think he only threw like 2 kicks.
Yeah,
like
did
3
nothing.
Like he
Yeah.
just schooled everyone. So I know that's old school and probably cliche. It's like, oh, of course, hoist. But that's where it all
Makes
started.
sense.
I'm too old to play any of the guys now, man. They don't have gray race banding hair on the sides. That's just me.
Right.
Next question is from Jesse T. Malloy. Freddie, how did you enjoy working as a WWE creative team member, and who was the most difficult wrestler to work with?
Oh man. Let's see. I mean, they're really strict on the guys. I'll say this: the guy that I was, there were 3 people that made Jeff Hardy champion. It was me, this dude Krista Joseph, and this old school wrestler named Michael P.S. Hayes, and he was a member of the Fabulous Freebirds back in the day, and he was one of my mentors at the company. And he always wanted Jeff to be champ, and these guys came in as jobbers, him and his brother. The jobber is the guy who loses and makes the other guy look great. And Vince had shot him down. Triple H, who married the boss's daughter, shot him down. And we finally got Jeff in a place where this was going to happen. But working with Jeff and tracking this dude down was forget Hollywood, forget Kiefer, forget all that. Like, and I love Jeff, but Jesus Christ, like I literally found him in a stairwell, passed out, an hour before the pay-per-view where he's going to win the championship. And I'm
awesome.
I'm shaking him awake,
no.
and I'm like, dude, we got to cut this we haven't even taped it yet, man. We're going to have to do this live. And he yells at me, you tell Vince McMahon I'm an artist, and we'll do this show when the art demands it. And I'm just like looking at him like, nah, bro, we're on in an hour. We got to go now. And I put a hoodie over him because no one would see him and kind of drug him across the street to the arena. And we shot it live, man. Like I literally took
We'll do it live.
like that.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Do it live. Yeah. I took a green. People who are wrestling fans will remember this promo. It was before he won the championship. He had like weird green light on him and weird face paint. And I'm literally holding like a glass that you would just drink out of, putting a pen light through it and holding it in one hand and holding the camera in the other, while I have like 3 different cue cards put up so anywhere he looks, he can see where his dialogue is. And we pulled it off, man. We pulled this promo, and he's doing this crazy and he was genuinely hurting. But he's doing this whole thing where he's like, you don't believe in me. You don't think that I can. And we did.
Probably worked.
It was great. And I literally went backstage to watch the match. I had to sit next to Vince, and that's sort of he's either going to slay you or you're good with it.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there. He's like, that was a hell of a promo. And I literally was like, oh, yeah, man, well, we had a lot of time, so it was good. Like, you know what I mean?
out. It went smooth.
Damage control. That's putting out a
the kid
big
under the
fire.
bus.
That's a great
man,
story, man.
But Jeff was a good kid. He sold a ton of merchandise that they refused to recognize. And I get why they didn't want him to rep the company, because he had some drug issues. But hell, man, if we held people back because of drug issues, there'd be like 2 people in the industry.
I'd be in there. Ryan Callen is the new star. We call him Big Baby.
You could be the heavyweight champ of the world.
Yeah.
And then you could legitimately call yourself a boxer.
At 170 pounds.
What else you got, Ev?
All right, this one's from Victor Aguilar. Freddie, have you ever had a physical altercation with any celebrity?
No, most guys within a few minutes, they figure out what kind of guy I am, and they know where the line is. Like, I had a conflict with one producer one time on a movie, and he got thrown off a boat, Burt Reynolds style. And I only did it because I heard Burt Reynolds did it one time.
You threw him off a boat.
Yeah, they asked me to do this like psycho stunt a second time, and they had sent the stunt guy home because they didn't want to pay overtime.
Oh, hell no.
And lied to me. They said no, he approved it, and so I did it again, and the boat flipped, and I got out of the water. I wasn't hurt, but I was pissed. And they had the nerve to ask me to do it again. And so I did the Burt Reynolds move. I said, come over here and show me what it is you want me to do. And we got to the side of the boat, and I grabbed him by his balls and his belt and threw him in the ocean.
Dang.
Said peace and walked off.
See ya.
But that wasn't an actor. That was just a D-bag guy
Yeah.
trying
Good,
to do something. But that's not me. That's Burt Reynolds. I stole
Yeah.
it from him.
Tight move, though.
I told him that I did that. He did my sitcom. He did the last 2 episodes, and he got the biggest kick out of that. We were talking about people that we didn't like, and he said, I did this old episode of Bonanza with Clint Eastwood. It might not have been Bonanza. It was one of those old burner shows, right? And he goes with Clint Eastwood, and the director was a scumbag. And he said, I was on this lot, the Warner Brothers lot, and he was directing a movie, and I was doing a show called Evening Shade. And I went over to visit Clint, and Clint said, hey, you know that son of a bitch director we worked for that one time, he passed away. They buried him over at Forest Lawn. That's where my dad's buried, by the way, is the Forest Lawn behind there with Marilyn Monroe and or not Marilyn Monroe, Lucille Ball and some others. And he goes, yeah, he's buried over there at Forest Lawn. They buried him a couple months ago. And Burt says, oh, yeah, he wasn't a really good guy. He goes, I didn't know why he was telling me about him. He goes, yeah, I got a case of beer. I'm going to go piss on his grave. You want to join me?
Did you
And so Burt and Clint went, got drunk, and pissed on the
on his
guy's
grave?
grave.
God damn.
Did you see Burt Reynolds recently? Probably maybe a year ago. He was doing some sort of interview, like red carpet, and some guy talked a little shit to him.
Oh, that's the wrong
and
cat.
He slapped him.
Oh,
in the
yeah.
face.
That's the wrong cat.
Literally, he was like,
He's a
come
legit
here.
tough guy,
And the
man.
guy comes over and he goes, whack, slaps
Burt
him
Reynolds
in the
could
face.
give a fuck. He did a scene in my acting class one time.
Did he really?
Yes, he did with Catherine Bell.
Was it good?
Did he?
He did Carnal Knowledge from the movie. And
Really?
Yep. And he was incredible. And he's as good an actor as it gets.
Yeah.
And then just sat down and just made us laugh the whole time.
Dude, we shot a scene. We shot my show in front of a live audience, and I was praying he would do this, and he did. He would always leave Dom DeLuise out to dry.
Dom DeLuise is the best. How about that guy?
Oh my God, Burt would have a line, and instead of cutting his line at the end of Dom's monologues, he'd just sit there and make Dom just riff and riff and riff and go and go, and finally they just both break and start. You'd always see it like at the end credits. They were one of the first movies to like really pull that off well.
Fantastic.
And I'm like, man, if you could just like do that to me, it would be great. And I had a scene where we're trying to get money out of him. He's this rich guy. And we want to open a restaurant. I'm describing the restaurant. And I'm like, man, it would be the perfect opportunity. And I literally stop and I see it before it happens. And I'm like, oh my God, he's good. So I just start going because I don't want him to cut me off. I want him to know, like, I'm cool like Dom DeLuise. I'll do it too.
I'm like Dom.
And just start going and going and going. And Brian Austin Green was the other actor in the scene. And finally he goes, what do you think you are, Dom fucking DeLuise? This scene sucks. And like the whole crowd starts laughing. I was like, oh, I got my moment with Burt Reynolds.
Awesome.
That was so
So
amazing.
great.
Yeah,
I know Brian. Brian's a good guy.
Yeah, he is a good guy,
Yeah,
man.
I
He's a
like
good
Brian.
guy.
All right, we'll do two more. This one is from Joe Coleman. He wants to know if you have any crazy Kiefer Sutherland stories.
He's not my kind of guy. That's all. We didn't.
Is that right?
We didn't see. People are asking this because I said something in an interview one time where, I got tired of taking my shoes off in scenes or something, and it's like, you knew how tall I was before you hired me. If you don't like me, you don't like. But he's not my kind of guy. I don't like bullies, and I'm just not gonna let somebody push people who don't feel they're in a position to defend themselves around. And I said that because I heard he was up to his old tricks again. He never did anything to me, but again, guys know, like, you can joke with me, but don't cross the line. Or I'm just not that guy. I wasn't that guy in high school. I'm not that guy today. And we didn't see eye to eye. I look at this business very differently than he does. So I don't have any like juicy stories. We're just two guys who work together. We do things very differently.
What did you guys do? What
I was on 24 the last year that it was on.
Because he
Little show.
I don't think I'm speaking.
Little
out of-
show called 24.
It wasn't the experience that I'm still friends with a lot of the guys from that crew to this day.
I heard Kiefer likes to suck
I
back
was
on
gonna say-
Grandpa's
I was gonna
old
say,
cough medicine.
He's had his issues. He's had his issues.
Yeah, he tends to like his drink.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm not here to crap on a guy, but we're different. We're way different people. There was no way we were going to be friends.
There's nothing wrong with
He's
that.
He's not
He's
a
the
bad
moon, I'm the
guy.
sun.
He's
Yeah,
not.
it happens.
He's a, from what I've known, I've just spent maybe a little bit, nothing like as much time as you have, but
Yeah, you
and I
don't
know
know
people who know him pretty well. Spend a lot of time on his show. Good guy. His heart's good. He's got demons.
Got some issues, man, and
Pretty
like
general,
we said,
Brian.
Like we said earlier,
Sounds like you don't know.
No, I mean,
there's a lot
at all.
I know
There's a lot of
something I can't
actors, a lot
talk
of
about.
artists
You
that
don't know him at all.
He drinks a lot.
They
I
struggle
said
with
that.
it. They struggle with it. You know what I mean? So I wish.
I'm trying to be diplomatic, my friend.
Yeah, we all are.
I could tell you stuff, but
We all are. But
Yeah,
it
what
was
can
one
you
of
I
those-
kind of pull back
So-
in the middle of
So
talking.
you guys
I was like,
get. I
oh,
mean,
no.
so you don't see eye to eye. What can you
Look,
do?
you've met a million people that you can walk by and shake hands with, and you're never going to go out to dinner with them, right? Like,
The bottom line is, I guess what I was trying to say is that you might be a good guy. When you drink your face off, it's really easy to be an asshole, and that's the bottom line. So, let's, anyway.
Next question, Ev. Last one.
All right, this one is from Roscoe Roberts. Freddie, if you were still writing for WWE, what angles would you write for these two?
for these two,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's throw, you know what? Let's throw Keely in the mix, too. Throw a girl in there.
well, first of all, it's a smash job. You're doing the job. You're doing the job.
Gotta
It's
do
going to
the
be
job.
like Paul Big Show White.
By the way,
who's
take a look at
6'10".
my vert right there as I'm jumping at him. So you might want to use my kung fu. You might want to.
The guy who sent Kaylee the creepy picture thinks that picture is creepy.
Yeah.
So that photo's on Creep
Look at my
Lines the
shorts
next
on
podcast.
that. It's beautiful. Yeah, I'm really.
You'd be like the pallbearer, and I'd be an Undertaker.
No, he's not going to be a manager. He's going to be a wrestler, but he would be like the 1, 2, 3 kid who was cool,
Yeah,
right? He got
yeah.
some wins off.
Uh-huh.
But he was X-Pac, who was the guy that was involved in that weird sex scandal. So that would be you.
Oh, I like that.
You'd be involved in the sex
Sure.
scandal, and you would probably be. We'd make you like the old school Samoan badass. We'd give you like
Me?
the thumb strike. That'd
I'd be
your
like Razor
finisher.
Ramon, maybe.
100%.
Razor, yo, if you want to be Scott Hall, Razor Ramon.
Yeah, I'll be Scott Hall.
Okay, so Razor Ramon and the 1-2-3 Kid had an amazing storyline
Yeah.
together, but the 1-2-3 Kid I think actually won that.
Yeah,
I know.
I'll win.
I could be
So
Razor,
that would be you doing the
Call
job.
him-
well,
call
I
the
could be
shiny
Razor
Samoan.
Ramon, and we could call him To Catch a Predator.
Okay, that's fine. You're shiny Samoa. You're shiny Samoa. You're shiny Samoa.
Or maybe I could be
Shiny
Apache.
Samoa.
I could be Apache Indian. They
And
don't
then his
have one.
gimmick, and then Kayla's the makeup artist. That's her gimmick, and he's shiny. So she's always powdering him down.
Yeah, 'cause he
so you'll be
shines
the heel.
up.
That means you're the bad guy.
Oh,
Everyone
I
will
like
hate
that.
All right.
And you're the good guy. You're the
Yeah.
1-2-3 Kid.
Yeah.
And Razor's finisher was this move called the Razor's Edge, which eventually in the 90s when WWE got more rated R, they called it the SOS Slam, which was the sack of shit slam. And JBL, who used to play in the NFL, John Bradshaw Layfield, that was his finisher. He just threw you like a sack of shit. And so that can be your finisher.
Yeah.
Throw you like
Sign
a
me up.
sack of
Wait, I
shit.
can fake fight and get paid for it? Sign me up. Sign me up.
You
man.
don't have to
me
take
up.
one.
You got
li-
some connections.
You don't have to take a bump. Look, those guys still get hurt.
Dude, forget that. The
By the way,
schedules they're
fake
on.
fighting 340 days a year is not fun.
I'm not about that life.
They get hurt. Is that it, buddy?
That's a wrap, my man.
Freddie, my man.
Freddie, killing it.
You killed it, man.
Getting on the mic and
Desert
killing it
flowers.
with his stories.
Desert flower. Desert flower.
He's a desert flower, ladies and
Oh yeah, I gotta say it chocolatey.
Callen, where can they find you this weekend? Where can they find us?
Where can't they? You guys want a piece of the kid in Big Brown? You just show up at the Punchline Comedy Club in Sacramento. I mean, not Sacramento, San Francisco.
Francisco.
Shit, San Francisco.
Let's say.
By the way, we're almost sold out. I just found out, so that's good.
Yeah.
But
San
come on out.
Francisco is where like the greats banged it out. Like Lenny Bruce banged it out
No
there.
doubt, man.
Robin Williams banged it out there.
Yeah.
I don't
Big
know
Brown
if
and
my
the
father
Kid are
ever
gonna
went.
bang
Now
it.
you
Brown
guys
out,
get to
yeah,
follow
Big
him.
Brown and the kid are gonna do it. We're gonna.
I won't be at every show. I'll be at one of them. I
You
can't
should
watch you all
open. You
the
should do a
time.
juggling act in the
I should
beginning
do
where you
something.
juggle
bring you
human
up.
beings.
I'm gonna bring him up on stage.
I
one of
should
these
do
days.
something.
That'll help you cut weight. It'll
Right?
actually be cardio.
You
Right?
get up and tell a story, and we just go.
San
from there.
Francisco treat. Fighting the Kid are coming to town. Freddie, you're the man. Thanks for coming on,
Freddie
brother.
Prinze
appreciate
Jr.
it.
Freddie
Thanks,
Prinze
guys.
Jr. The Fire and the Kid, July 4th, limited edition tank tops. When this comes out, they will already drop. Hopefully, there's still some left. And then Saturday, either Friday night or Saturday, the Master Kim Taiga, July 4th. Tees are in stock. TFATK.com. This is the Fire and the Kid. We're out.